Is it a problem if someone can't have dinner without drinking alcohol? Yes. This is addictive behavior. If you throw a tantrum because you saw not drink an alcoholic drink at some moment, they are probably alcoholics. That is exactly what addiction looks like. She is so focused on it that it gets in the way for the other parts of life. Yes, this is a good example of functional alcoholism. She has obviously decided in her mind that she'll allow herself to drink with meals, and so she is clinging to that opportunity. I say this as someone who drinks most days too, so I'm not being a judgmental teetotaler or whatever. You probably need to have a chat with her when she's in a good mood and use this event as an example of how A. She might have a dependency on alcohol. Say that instead of addiction. B. That you love her and it made you sad to see her get angry about it. This sort of alcohol addiction is similar to low-level nicotine addiction in that the small bumps of relaxation you get become something you really look forward to, so you're sort of mentally addicted to the routine as much as physically addicted. It's a good time to intervene because it can usually be wound back quite quickly. Addictions make people think selfishly. When I was addicted, I treated the people I cared about terribly because all I wanted was my next fix. Alcohol is as dangerous in this way as some of the worst drugs because, as you have seen, it is so very available. If you drink with every meal for long enough, it can cause problems with nutritional deficiency as well, which present their own problems. Since she is your mother, there is unfortunately not a lot you can do. You can't make her change. What she needs is to see how this addiction is hurting the people around her, and to accept the problem and speak to her doctor about quitting. It can be humiliating to admit you have a substance abuse problem, and it is so difficult to ask for help. I wish I had better answers for you. I hope your mother reflects and changes her ways. Alcohol addiction runs in both sides of my family, and I know how hard this situation can be. Every addict has their own reasons for being an addict, and nobody but themselves can start the process needed to change for the better. Former functioning alcoholic here. Yup, that's a big ol' problem. 8 years of sobriety has made that abundantly clear. As someone who struggles with alcohol addiction, the two biggest signs are: 1. Can they sleep without alcohol? 2. Can they function more than 2 to 3 days without? When I say function, I mean can they hold a conversation and or not being confused and feeling sick? If not, they just drink too much and they should cut back till it gets worse. Both my parents were abusive alcoholics. My mother drank herself to an early death. I thought my father was sober. He no longer got drunk every day or had any alcohol. It wasn't until several years I found out he drank NyQuil throughout the day and night. It kept him functioning, and I was glad he was no longer getting blackout drunk. But he was still an alcoholic. Just a different kind. That does seem like quite an overreaction from her. She shouldn't depend on alcohol to enjoy a meal. If it is interfering with her life in other ways, you may want to talk to her gently about reducing consumption. Don't accuse her of being an alcoholic though. When people hear alcoholic, they tend to think of the extreme cases. Yes, this is behavior associated with addiction. Go back to your original spot and hide beer with you. She'll gladly eat there. Anytime someone is throwing a tantrum because of something they want. BC people can have other medical behavior issues that may result in tantrums. That's kind of a flag. You are not worrying too much. Her behavior is consistent with that of someone with alcohol dependency. Yep. Yeah, your mom is a deep alcoholic at that point. If you need something so badly that you can't function normally, i.e. just eating at a restaurant with your family, It's the textbook definition of addictive behavior. It's probably best if someone intervenes now before she spirals even more out of control. Yeah, that sounds like a terrible problem. She doesn't usually eat cheap pizza, but what if it comes with beer? That itself just seems questioning. Your mom definitely knows herself but refused to believe that. I'm an alcoholic and I pretty much schedule my whole life around beer. It's no fun. Seriously, it sucks. Look into AlAnon. It's for family, friends of those alcohol issues. A friend swears by it. It taught her her daughter's sobriety was not hers to control, manage or enable. Best thing she ever did. And her daughter, adult, is thriving now years later. Yes. And it sounds like you already have answered your own question. Confused face. I recommend looking into AlAnon. It's for family members, friends of people with addiction issues. My advice is to find a group specifically for kids of people with addiction issues. My first few meetings were general groups and were filled with a lot of women in their 60s, 70s, who'd been married to alcoholics for years, and it was not really a good fit for me. When I found a group filled with other adult children of alcoholics who were facing a lot of the same issues I was, it was so much more helpful. You can also find groups a little outside your town if you can drive or get there. I was nervous to go to one in my own backyard and drove to ones 20 minutes away. Also, you don't even have to speak if you don't want to. You can also talk about anything. You don't have to talk about your deepest feelings about your mom if you're not ready to. In the groups I go to, a lot of people talk about how they're feeling that day and what they're struggling with. Some groups also have pre-meetings for 20 minutes or so for first-timers. Yes. I would say so that it's addictive behavior she's exhibiting. If she's upset that there isn't alcohol or beer on premises, sounds like she's an alcoholic. I have alcoholics in my family and it's hard to help them seek help. One has to seek it themselves once they've come to terms of their alcoholism and wanting to change. I'm really sorry. I know how you feel because I was you and now I'm your mom. Alcohol is really a hell of a drug. Your mom is sick and she's poisoning herself and it's legal and socially acceptable. Honestly, there is pretty much nothing you can do for her or about the problem. You can just do what you can for yourself. I'm so sorry, baby. She'll just have to hit her own bottom and ask for help herself. Honey.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.